Hey, what's up guys? Spencer Rhodes here, and this is a video about Daryl Dixon and what is going on with him currently in the show and in the story. And basically this just covers, my opinions on the character right now. Basically I just think he's become an asshole, and he's just become basically a piece of shit. And I want to go ahead and give a disclaimer. I'm not a Daryl Dixon hater. I'm not one of those guys that wanted him to die years ago. I don't hate Norman Reedus. I think Norman Reedus is okay. He usually does the best he can with the material he gets, which isn't saying very much, but basically I just think Daryl has become a shit character. And the whole thing with if Daryl dies we riot, that was back in season 1. Season 2, I think if they killed him off now, it wouldn't be a big deal. I feel like he's kind of overstayed his welcome. And the writing for him is so bad, and it's so repetitive, and it's really just been going in circles. In the comics, I don't want to seem like I'm salty, but in the comics there's no Daryl Dixon. And with Tyrese and with Abraham, they had much bigger roles in the comics. They were pretty much like Rick's right-hand men, almost like best friends. They got a lot of material in the comics. In the show, not so much. They didn't get a lot of material. Daryl Dixon just continued to chew up every scene he was in, and they kept giving Daryl all the screen time. Like every season, he's always one of the characters that gets the most screen time, and he's really not that interesting. He doesn't have a lot of depth. He's a redneck with a heart of gold. I get it. Tyrese and Abraham had a lot of depth, and I really feel like they could have coexisted with Daryl. They did coexist with Daryl, but the writers continued to give Daryl 90% of the screen time, and Tyrese and Abraham, they only got 10% of the screen time, and then they both died in 2.5 seasons. So, and then we have Daryl for 8 seasons, and Daryl gets all the screen time in every episode that he's in. So it just seems like, I'm not a Daryl hater. I don't hate the character. I don't hate Norman Reedus. I just wish that Daryl shared the pie a little more. If the writers shared the pie with the other characters, if other characters got their time in the spotlight. I mean, Daryl gets nothing but time in the spotlight. Abraham and Tyrese barely got it, and it's just a real shame. It's a real shame because Michael Cudlitz as Abraham and Chad Coleman as Tyrese were so damn awesome. Pretty much as far as acting performances go in the show, they're my top 2. They're my top 2 favorite actors in the show, top 2 favorite performances. Very short-lived. I could have loved a lot more of seeing them in the show, seeing scenes with them and dialogue and episodes and character development. They are so good as the comic characters of Abraham and Tyrese. I feel like they were put on this earth to play these characters. That's how good they were. That's how fantastic they were in the roles in the show. And then they both died so quickly. And even when they're on the show, I don't think they left that much of an impact. Abraham left a slightly bigger impact than Tyrese did, but not by much. And yeah. But moving on to that, Daryl Dixon. He's really just become a shit character. The writing for him has been shit. He just goes in circles, 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 circles. If you think about it, when season 8 is done, when it comes out on DVD, or if you want to watch it on Amazon or whatever you want to do, if you watch all 8 seasons of The Walking Dead, Daryl's story arc, Daryl's character development or lack thereof, is basically just a circle. He just goes in circles. The first season, he closed himself off from people. He was mean. He was an asshole. And then he started to care about Carol. And then he started to help Rick with stuff. And then zombie Sophia came out of the barn, and he, basically just went back to being an asshole and went back to closing himself off. And then, in season 3, he starts to take people in and starts to help people and starts to be more useful, and he starts to open up. And then Merle dies, and then he becomes an asshole and closes himself off. You know, just over and over and over and over again. If you watch the show, it's basically he closes himself off. He begins to open up to people and let people in. Someone dies. He closes himself off. He starts to let people in. Someone dies. He closes himself off. He starts to let someone in. Someone dies. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's a circle, and it's just like, really, if he basically, once Carl dies, and Carl is going to die. It's pretty much, it's a fact. Carl's going to die. Carl is going to die. That leaves Rick, Daryl, Carol, Morgan. Even if Morgan does not die this season, he's going to go to Fear the Walking Dead, and they're making it seem like he's going to leave the show and never be seen again in the main show. So as far as all the characters from season 1 goes, that literally leaves Rick, Daryl, and Carol. 8 years in, and they're going to be the last 3 characters from the very beginning. So you're going to keep Daryl alive, one of the most boring, repetitive, dull, uninteresting characters, and he is one of the 3 that's still alive from the very beginning. I would have loved to have seen Andrea in season 8. I would have loved to have seen Tyrese or Abraham in season 8. I mean, even Shane or Dale would have been more interesting than Daryl. Daryl just became Chewbacca. He just became, like, his hair became his character. His hair grew out so much. It was so messy. He just looked like Chewbacca, and he just growled all the time. You can't understand half his fucking dialogue. He's just like, like, he gets covered in dirt and growls, and gets covered in dirt and growls. Oh yeah, freaking, like, award-winning television. Good job, writers. I mean, I'm not against Daryl living. I'm not against him being on the show. I just wish that other characters would get their time in the spotlight, and it doesn't seem like they ever do, because they get small amounts of screen time compared to Daryl, and then they don't live very long. And Daryl lives forever. So, like, the ratio is just like, it's 90% Daryl, 10% everyone else. And with season 6, season 7, and season 8, they've really been doing the, like I said, the circle. You know, with season 6, Daryl is, you know, he tries to help Dwight, and then Dwight betrays him, and then Denise gets killed, and Daryl feels bad, and then Daryl has this just complete lack of impulse whatsoever. That's all he cares about, is getting revenge. And other characters are saying, Daryl, you know, we need you to stay at Alexandria. Things are going to go wrong. Glenn literally tells Daryl, things are going to go wrong if you come out here. And Daryl ignores Glenn. And Daryl is pretty much part of the reason why Glenn gets killed. If it wasn't obvious in that scene when Daryl ignores what Glenn is saying and continues to go off looking for Dwight, it is obvious when Daryl punches Negan in the face, and that causes Glenn's death. They did that because they want to really, like, nail it in our heads that Daryl is partial to blame for Glenn's death. Daryl and Rosita going out looking for Dwight. Everyone else knows it's a bad idea. Everyone else knows it's dangerous. There's saviors. The saviors are still a threat. They all need to be together. They all need to be safe at Alexandria. Rosita and Daryl don't give a fuck, you know? Oh, they're angry. Oh, they want revenge. Who cares if we get someone else killed that's innocent and hasn't done anything wrong? It's one of our friends. Who cares? We're angry. That's what matters. Like, really? You know, and you know, when Glenn died, I was okay with it. Like, I was okay with what they did with Daryl, because I really liked Daryl's scenes with Maggie, when Daryl is just like, I'm sorry, and like he in that scene with Maggie, it did seem really obvious that, you know, as much as people were angry with Daryl about Glenn's death, no one was more angry at Daryl than Daryl was at Daryl in regards to Glenn's death. And I like that. I like Norman Reedus' acting. You know, that was one of the redeeming moments for Daryl with me, was when I realized that no one is more angry at Daryl than Daryl is at Daryl about Glenn's death. So I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then he goes on about, oh, we need to just blow up the whole sanctuary. And then everyone's like, well, there's like families and children and innocent people there and people that are just working as slavers because they don't want to die. And Daryl's like, I'm angry, so let's blow up the sanctuary. Like, what? Is this supposed to be one of the protagonists? Are we supposed to root for Daryl? Is Daryl supposed to be one of the good guys? Because he's very quickly becoming one of the villains. If he doesn't care about blowing up a sanctuary, or a place called the sanctuary, full of children and innocent people and families and people that are just trying to survive because he's angry, because he's impulsive, because he wants revenge. Does that ring a bell? That's what he did with Dwight when Glenn and Abraham got killed, because he and Rosita had to be impulsive and go out and get revenge, and look at how that turned out. Innocent people got killed. What did Daryl learn? Absolutely nothing. He's still impulsive, still wants revenge, still wants to do crazy shit that risks other people's lives. And then in season 8, we get him wanting to continue to blow up the sanctuary. He gets into a fist fight with Rick. He ignores what everyone else tells him, just like season 6. When he goes out looking for Dwight, everyone's telling him not to. Glenn's telling him not to. He does it anyway. He doesn't give a shit, and it always ends up ending with someone innocent getting killed because of what he did, because of his impulse, his lack of impulse control, because he's angry and he wants revenge. You know, he, Rosita, Tara, Michonne, Morgan, they all come together and they want to drive a truck into the sanctuary and put all the walkers in the sanctuary. And Michonne and Rosita back out because they're like, let's just be patient. Rick's plan is going to work. Let's just be patient. All Daryl had to do was be patient. That's all he had to do. Everything was working. He was going to get his sweet revenge. All he had to do was be patient. But no. He was angry. He was impulsive. He wanted revenge. It's all about him, what he feels. Fuck, getting someone else killed. Fuck getting someone innocent killed. Fuck getting your friend killed. He wants revenge. He feels it. Like, really? I mean, are you just going to make him a brainless asshole? Are you kidding? Like, Jesus. This is not the Daryl Dixon I want to see after 8 years of The Walking Dead. Just regressing into this impulsive piece of shit that doesn't care about the consequences of his actions and makes the same mistake over and over and over and over again. Once Daryl wants to drive a truck into the sanctuary, once he gets into a fight with Rick, once Michonne sits down with him and tells him, we don't get to see it, we have to be patient and wait, and when he just does it anyway, that was when I realized he learned nothing from what happened to Glenn and Abraham. He learned nothing from punching Negan in the face and getting Glenn killed. He learned nothing. He is destined to make the same mistakes over and over and over again because the writers want him to. Because that's their best ideas with the character. Top quality writing, Scott Gimple. Fantastic. Just make him do the same thing over and over and over and over again. The same bullshit. Over and over and over and over again. Like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Come on. This is The Walking Dead. It's like it's written by a bunch of third graders. Come on. You can do better. But yeah, I mean, just when Rick is telling him, look, we can't just blow up the sanctuary. We can't just use the grenades. There's innocent people. There's children, families, old people, girlfriends, boyfriends, possibly even babies. And Daryl's like, oh, well, maybe they'll get out. Maybe they'll be okay. Damn well he doesn't care. He just wants to win no matter what. Just imagine, okay, you're a person, you're a survivor in the zombie apocalypse, and you have 3 daughters, 3 infant daughters. And then Negan sees you, and the Savior see you, and they offer to take you into their sanctuary and have you work as a slave. It's a hard job, but you don't starve. Your children are okay. You can raise their children. Maybe you go to an outpost that's better than the sanctuary, and it's not so bad. You can take care of your daughters. And then Daryl comes in and he blows up the place, and all 3 of your daughters die, and you survive. you're gonna want to kill Daryl. And if the show had you in the if you were in the show, you would be the bad guy and he would be the good guy. How does that make sense? It's stupid. The fact that Daryl doesn't care about getting innocent people killed, the fact that he ignores what everyone else is telling him over and over and over again, and makes the same mistakes over and over and over again. His character is a piece of shit. He has become an asshole. I keep being patient with him. I keep being patient with the show, but it's too much. He has not learned anything. He has not changed. He's just going to make the same mistake over and over and over again. If he was going to learn something, he would have learned something when Glenn died. It's just too much. He has become a shit character. He has become an asshole. He has become a jerk. And, I mean, I blame the writers. I feel like the writing for him has been god-awful. They're just they desperately want to keep him relevant in the show. That's what they're doing. They want Daryl to be alive, and they don't want him to just be alive. They want him to be relevant, because if he's not relevant, everyone's going to want him to be killed off. So this is their idea of keeping him relevant. This is the best they could come up with. Just having him do the same crap over and over and over again. And he's basically like the main villain of the series at this point. Like, he wants to kill innocent people more than Negan does. More than the governor did. I mean, more than anyone else. Daryl wants to kill innocent people. He wants to throw grenades at things and blow up bad guys, and it has no regard whatsoever for the consequences. He is the villain. He is a piece of shit, and I desperately want him to get killed off. The end. It has nothing to do with Norman Reedus, but it's that plus, you know, Carl dying and just the overall decline in quality in the show with season 8 and in season 7. I just feel like the show has fallen apart, and Daryl as a character has just become a piece of shit, and the whole thing is just a mess. At this point, the damage is done. Just kill him off. I mean, I don't want to see Daryl learn from his mistakes. He's already had 100 chances to, and he hasn't. I want to see him dead. I want to see Daryl Dixon die. I'm sorry, but hey, you know what? It's season 8. Maybe it's time. Maybe, you know, the only way they could redeem Daryl at this point is to kill him off. If Daryl dies in a heroic, sacrificial type of way where he dies saving Rick, or saving a group of people, or saving someone else, that would be the only way to redeem him. Because I don't want to see him get a happy ending. I don't want to see him in the Whisper of War. And I know he will be, because he's fucking Daryl. You know, he's got to live for reasons, you know. I mean, I want to see him die. It's just too much. I'm sorry. I have tried to stick with his story, stick with the show. I have done everything in my power to have faith, but it's just, there is no grand plan. It's just, the writing is so bad. The writing for Daryl is so bad and so awful. It's irredeemable. It's irredeemable. Just kill him off at this point. Just kill him off. Kill Daryl off. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm sure this might be a controversial video, but I gotta say it like I feel it. Anyway, I'm Spencer Rhodes, and I will see you guys later. Don't be shy, hit that like and subscribe. Bye, see you later.